Joining me today, we have Brian with CAIC. And of course, we're going to jump into all things avalanche and safety. So, Brian, I'm going to give you the floor. What are some things that we should be on the lookout for?
All right. Well, we are well into our spring transition, and you can see this reflected in our homepage map, which is showing a lot of green, which means low danger and generally safe avalanche conditions for most of the central and southern mountains. You can see we're still hanging on to moderate danger in the northern mountains, and that's because the snowstorm from earlier this week just deposited much more snow up there, upwards of 2 feet in some locations. And so we need a little bit more time for the snowpack to adjust to that load, and it's going to shed subsequently with these warmer temperatures. And as we move into the latter part of this work week, we do rebound to more spring type temperatures, and that's going to put wet avalanches back on our radar. So here's just an example of some daily temperatures forecast for, and this one's down near Red Mountain Pass, and you can see we have daytime highs peaking above 50 as we move towards the weekend. It's a little cooler up north as we look here on Vail Pass, but we still have daytime highs peaking in the mid 40s. And so we're going to have to start thinking about wet avalanche concerns as we get these warmer temperatures and strong April sunshine.
Yeah, and now when you see the temperature go up during the day and going down in the nighttime, kind of what are some things that people should look out for when they are attempting to check out the backcountry?
Yeah, what we really need to check for is the extent of the freeze. And we had a forecaster, Drew Gibson, out on Fremont Pass, who described this really well in this video I'll show you right now.
Fantastic.
Hey everybody, Drew here with the CAIC. I'm up here on Fremont Pass. It's Saturday morning, about 10:30 or so. And as you can tell by the way I'm dressed, it is just downright hot out here. It was 45 degrees in the car park when I left just a little bit ago. I'm at 11,000 feet, just a little higher, and I wanted to look at the depth of freeze that we have going on. And so, as you can see across the snow surface here, it's really hard. It sounds like it. It's even kind of hard to get my ice axe through. But once you punch through this top 8 inches, 20 centimeters worth of snow, below it is soft, wet snow that didn't refreeze last night. So the freeze that we got didn't go deep enough to lock up the entire snowpack. So once this surface crust breaks down, this top 8 inches, the rest of this is going to become very unsupported very, very quickly. And then that's when we're going to see an increased danger in our wet avalanche problem. So when we're traveling this time of year, we need to make sure that we're getting out early, we're getting back to the trailheads early to avoid dealing with all this wet, unconsolidated snow. So the good way to check to see how long you might have is to dig down, punch through this top layer and see what the snow underneath is like. This is a huge concern this time of year, so make sure we're paying good attention to the depths of freeze.
So Drew covered it really well right there. And so, as we start to warm the snowpack back up, the sun shines really strong in April. We're going to see first our most recent snow start to shed and slough off in more surface slides like what we're seeing here. The first slopes to produce that will be out of steep rocky terrain like in this image. But once we get the surface crust to break down, we can start gouging into that underlying wet snow, produce much bigger and larger wet avalanches. And so here's some from our last warm-up event that you can see. So early indications that we're going to see more troublesome and more dangerous wet avalanche activity is when we start to see small avalanches coming out of steep rocky terrain. And then later in the day, we have the ability to start gouging down into that wet snow and producing larger, more destructive avalanches. And so kind of as Drew indicated, the key to staying safe during this time is to start and end your day early. When you start to see the surface crust break down and you start punching through, you get slushy surface conditions more than about boot top, or that crust on the surface is no longer supportable, it's time to start thinking about exiting avalanche terrain, move to colder, shadier slopes, or just call it a day. Pinwheels, roller balls are other clear indications that wet avalanche activity is imminent. It's going to be the main problem as we move towards the weekend. We do want to point out that particularly in the northern mountains, which got a bunch of recent snow on very high elevation, above 12,000 feet, north-facing slopes, we still have cold, wind-drifted snow, and you're going to be able to find isolated wind slab avalanches like these ones from the last few days. So this will be with us through the weekend, most pronounced in the northern mountains, high elevation north. And if you can start and end your days early and look for these wind-drifted slopes and avoid them, you can stay safe.
Yes, and that's a spooky kind of thing to know, but also that last picture that we ended on was beautiful. But still want to stay incredibly safe. And where should we get those live updates as well, Brian?
Yeah, please either check the CAIC mobile app or you can go to this website just over my shoulder here at colorado.gov/avalanche.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for keeping us in the know. Appreciate your time, Brian, and we will chat next time.
We'll see you back here next week.
All right.